Look at this. I mean, we're like Girls Aloud. Look at us. We're like a little band. Look at that. Hello, everybody. Hi again. I'm Sam. Welcome to the cutting room stage. This is our second demo, and it's a right old boy band of a team. We've got James Doyan from House of Charcoal. We've got Matt Williams from Whittle and Flame, and we've got Matt Black from Matt Black. There we go. And so what we're going to talk about charcoal, boys. Is that right?
Yes.
Welcome. And also, thank you so much for sponsoring the charcoal for the stage and for the whole weekend. That's very generous of you. Yeah, brilliant. So, come on, tell us about the House of Charcoal. Why did it start?
So, I mean, the reality of House of Charcoal is, I mean, if I can step back a little bit
You can,
in time,
wherever you like to go, James.
But my background, I'm from a corporate background, believe it or not. So that's why I speak quite well for a Yorkshireman. But it's so it's very corporate. And the reality of what I did, I set up a consultancy firm doing business transformation and change management for large retailers globally.
Right.
So I had a big team going all over the world. We were operating for about 15 countries. Had a team of about 100 consultants. And had an amazing time, but it was a lot of traveling, a lot of hard work, not a lot of time with my family, not a lot of time at home. But my time at home, I used to cook for my family, always cooking. We never used the oven at home, I was always outside, cooking on various different barbecues and having a wonderful time. That was my sanctuary. So for me to kind of recalibrate and get my head straight again, in order that I go again on another trip or do some more work or whatever I'm going to do, it was always about cooking on fire.
Right.
And then my wife actually bought me a surprise gift, which kind of changed my life, because she bought me, it's quite hard to admit this, so apologies, but she bought me a gas barbecue.
Oh, no, we're not going to gas shame here. We don't gas shame.
We are.
Generally, look, can you see my arm? Can you see that? It's all standing up. All the hairs are standing. All the hairs are standing up when I say that. It upsets me.
I mean,
greatly.
listen, you wouldn't barely touch this monolith earlier on. You're
There's a reason for that.
There's
a reason for that. But the whole so she bought me a gas barbecue, and it was this great big outback thing, and I hated it from the get-go, because it just didn't deliver for me. It wasn't giving me the flavors.
Okay.
It was hard to cook on, and it just wasn't right. So I got rid of that, and then I basically reached out to buy a big green egg, because I heard about the whole Kamado thing.
Yeah.
And I got a big green egg, and then I got into Kamado cookery and all of that good stuff. And you know, then I really got into my barbecuing, and I tried to travel less so I could cook more. And then I got an opportunity about 3 years ago, after selling my consultancy, to actually go and work for Big Green Egg.
Right.
So I ran Big Green Egg in the UK for a couple of years through COVID and the back end of COVID, where I started to meet chefs and amazing producers, and just
so is
working
this how
in
you
this
two
whole...
met? How did this love affair start?
No.
We didn't know each other at that point.
You didn't know each
That's
other?
how we met.
That's how you met?
Yeah. So Matt was part of our ambassador program. I'll get onto it. I do talk a lot. So
I was going to say, I just want to know about the throuple, really. I mean, like, how did they get together?
I get onto that. So I ran Big Green Egg, and then I finished doing my turnaround at Big Green Egg, and then I had a really bad car accident. So I had a lot of time in bed where my mind was working overtime, thinking, what next? And at Big Green Egg, we did quite a lot of consumer research.
Yeah.
And one statistic that came out was when people buy a Big Green Egg, they use it once a week religiously. But we knew that customers who bought a Big Green Egg only bought charcoal. Like 1 in 10 customers bought charcoal from Big Green Egg. So I was like, well, where did the 9 out of 10 buy their charcoal? And then I started to, in bed, convalescing, doing research for about 8 weeks. And I discovered that basically people were buying charcoal from everywhere, and it was all about convenience. And people were buying charcoal from all over the world. And then I looked into where that charcoal came from, and that gave me the EBGBs.
Matt, this is where you can chip in, right?
Yeah.
So tell us, Matt, in a few words, I'm going to go 1,000. Tell us why imported charcoal is generally bad news. Tell us why we should buy British. Which question would you like?
Well,
I'll give you anyone.
I'll go for both.
I'll go for both.
All right. I'll go for both at once.
Should we dovetail those two together? Why is imported charcoal bad for us, and why should we buy British charcoal?
Right. So charcoal is problematic as a product. Like globally, the average conversion of wood to charcoal is like 20 tons of wood to make you 1 ton of charcoal, and we use a lot of charcoal. And like most things that we in sort of Western countries buy, we generally do that by wild exploitation of other countries' resources.
Right. In what sense? How do we exploit them?
Like, it's absolutely fine to cut trees down in a forest if you are thinking about how quickly they regrow. So UK forest generally grows 14 cubic meters per hectare per year. It varies, but about that. So you know that if you can cut 14 cubic meters of wood from a hectare of forest every year, and actually the amount of standing timber will always remain the same.
Right.
So there's nothing exploitative in that. That's a beautiful thing to do, and actually it's quite necessary in the forests we have in the UK, for sure.
Because we need to maintain our forests, right? They need to be, of a density which is good for the flora and the fauna as well.
Yeah, and that sort of sounds mental when people say, oh no, we have to cut our forests. Because you think, well, how did they get to be forests if they absolutely rely on human beings interfering with them?
Of course.
But they don't. Like, we could not cut any of our forests in the UK for 2,000 years. And by the end of that 2,000 years, they'd look after themselves perfectly.
Right.
But we haven't really got that long.
Yeah, we need charcoal now.
Yeah, right. We need charcoal now. So generally the ways that we forest in the UK now are all really based around the ways that forests naturally look after themselves.
Okay.
So
you would remove things like coppice, for example, would be something that you could turn into charcoal, as opposed to felling trees, for example.
Right. I mean, either of those can be great examples. People often associate charcoal making with coppice work. But realistically, the last time that was completely entwined was when we were blowing France up. And,
okay.
Like the last time it was
stopped doing that now, haven't we?
Well, right, and it really ruined my industry, if I'm honest. So the last time it was really a useful, lucrative thing to do with yourself to make charcoal was when we needed it to blow up the French, because there was a great big demand for it.
Those cannons aren't going to fire themselves, are they?
They did not. Yeah. And I have a bit of a theory that maybe we should stop this Six Nations rugby every year.
Oh,
right,
hang on. You're talking to a Welsh girl here.
Right,
Hang on, Matt. I was
love
enjoying
the rugby.
this chat.
I love the rugby, but imagine this. So what if we went to war in the Channel every year, wooden ships that you have to make from your own forest. You can only fire cannonballs with charcoal, with gunpowder made from charcoal.
Okay, tell me how I
in your
get
own
my
country.
pitch side ticket to that, though. Because I insist on seeing Wales get dramatically ass-kicked every year on the Six Nations. How am I going to see that on the water? Let's not digress.
Let's not digress.
No.
Anyway, so it's perfectly possible to sustainably harvest wood from a forest, never diminish the woodland, and to carry on having that resource. Perfectly possible. But as human beings, that's not generally what we do. Normally we look at a resource and go, oh man, I'll have all of that. And I'll have it now. So we, for the charcoal industry, have completely deforested quite a number of areas of the world.
Yeah.
Like, there's one that people will be really familiar with probably, and it's a really easy example. So if you've been to the Canary Islands?
Yes, I have.
So
lovely potatoes.
Oh, lovely spuds.
Potatoes, yeah.
Sadly, they've got to bring all their water in to grow those potatoes now because it doesn't rain
why they
there
taste so
anymore.
good.
So when you fly into the Canary Islands, you'll see that it's basically just a great big volcano.
Yeah.
Nothing grows on it.
The beaches are often black because it's volcanic beaches as well, right?
That's right. Yeah. But there are rivers, like old riverbeds, all over these volcanoes, and you can see them as clear as day when you fly in.
Yeah.
And I did this. I'm such bad company on a holiday, honestly. So I flew in and saw this, and I think, hang on a minute, how on earth are there riverbeds all over this mountain?
Right.
And here's the thing. So they used to have a particular kind of pine tree, has really long needles, and it would sit permanently in clouds. And these long needles condense the water out of clouds and make it rain. So all these riverbeds that are now completely dry were all running with water, and the islands were lush.
Wow, you're joking. So the deforestation has actually utterly changed the island's environmental and climate structure.
Absolutely.
Wow,
and that's obviously a very small example, but it's very easy to see.
But that's a stark example, right?
Right.
Because didn't that also happen in Easter Island? So Easter Island used to have trees, but they say that, to move all those Maori heads, they cut them all down to roll these edifices and these godlike statues and basically kill the island.
That is right.
Yeah.
And so I suppose what I'm saying is this. It's not necessarily that you can't make good charcoal in places that aren't the UK.
Yeah.
But if you are in the UK and you're using a wood-based product, it's a bit rude to use someone else's wood for that,
Fair enough.
Like, we've got our resource. And we will talk quite a lot about, the fact that a lot of our charcoal comes from the most deforested countries in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
But do you know the UK is one of the most deforested countries in the world?
Right, yeah.
Like, we've got just over 10% forest covering in the UK, and that's tiny.
Yeah.
So actually what we're doing is not thinking about sustainable forestry. It's too late for sustainable forestry.
Okay.
We need regenerative forestry. So we need to be planting woodlands. We need to be using those woodlands and putting value into them, making products that we need and that we use, and stop relying on slave labour in countries that are so poor that they can't
Come on,
help
can we
but-
get an amen to that? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, let's do a pledge that we are going to buy sustainable British charcoal. Listen, I don't want to interrupt, but there's an actual chef on the stage doing some actual cooking.
Oh my God.
Matt Black, Matt Black, can you tell us what you're cooking for us on this beautiful, gorgeous charcoal?
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. My name is Matt Black, or everyone knows me as Matt Burgess. But stupidly, in 1987, I won the Wellington Beatbox Championship of New Zealand, and that was my hip hop name. So thank you for 1987.
Go on, give us a few beats. Go on, give us a bar.
Absolutely. I'm not doing any beatbox.
Let's get a few more
not.
pints in, and we'll invite him back
It
up
will
later.
be, yeah, 100%. If you come up to me after 3 pints, mate, I will do the best beatbox in the world. Anyway, I am just doing a smoked sirloin with sour orange curry. Now, it sounds really simple, but I promise you it's not. You will not be able to recreate this at home. That's why I'm doing it, because I want you guys to taste some incredible food. So in here, I've got a 65-day aged belted Galloway.
Wow.
Okay.
Let's have a look at that, man. Lift the lid up for us.
Absolutely. This has been gifted to me by Lake District farmers who are quite possibly some of the most greatest butchers in the UK. Now, at the moment, this has been in here for about an hour, and I'm just literally slowly smoking it. So we've just got a nice fat cap on it. It's a wing rib, okay? So it's kind of like a flash way to say a sirloin. Do you guys know why it's called a sirloin?
Sirloin?
Yeah, exactly. Back in the 1800s, the king loved a sirloin so much, well, the loin of beef, he knighted it, and that's the true story. So we're
But you're going to make us all go sirloin when we go to our butchers. I'll have a sirloin.
Can I have a sirloin? yeah. Exactly. Yeah, sure. I'm from New Zealand, if you haven't worked that out, so I don't know what the fuck these guys are talking about. Yeah. So sorry about that. Anyway.
So listen, 65-day age, that feels like quite a long time.
It is. It kind of tastes like and smells like my ex-wife, but honestly, it's going to be fucking delicious.
Yeah, we'll ignore that. You know this is all being recorded, Matt, don't you? Yeah. Let's have the alimony's been sorted out.
I really do, you fucking bitch.
Yeah, your payments are about to go up, dude.
Anyway, sorry.
Sorry about you being skint the rest of your life.
It is taken quite fast. So the notes that you're going to be getting from it is kind of blue cheese. It's going to be like really rich, really deep in flavour. But why I've chosen this is because of the charcoal that we're burning it over. Over here, we've got whittle bricks, which is made by the wonderful Matt Williams. We've also got some oak there as well, which I'm going to char it really hard to get those really delicious flavours.
Can I just ask, what are whittle bricks? Can you tell us about whittle bricks?
Yeah, what are whittle bricks, Matt?
Oh, it's nice of you to ask. So one of the things that we find when we're creating beautiful British charcoals is that people are really used to using tropical hardwoods.
Okay.
And they're a denser charcoal and they burn more slowly.
Like sort of marabou and that kind of thing?
Or
coconut? Or
if I'm honest, at the moment, one of the most popular charcoals you'll find in supermarkets is actually white konobo, which is sacred tree to the people of the Amazon, but it makes a really, really, really nice charcoal.
Great, so we'll just take it off. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're just cutting them down wholesale to make... Anyway, so what we wanted to do was make a charcoal from sustainable British wood that would have a longevity in the burn, release its energy real slow.
And is that in the construction of it, Matt? It's got this hole that goes through the middle. So that helps the oxygen go through and the heat penetrate. How does it work?
It's not actually. There's the hole in the middle is really about how they're made. So this is actually made from softwood, which you'd imagine would make a real quick hot charcoal.
Of course.
But so it's made from sawdust. We work with the largest UK sawmill, so we just buy their sawdust, and then it goes through a great big screw. So there's a hole through the middle
it, really.
with a as it's turning, the wood gets hot as well as compressing, and when it gets to 270 degrees, this actually chimes in with so much of what our man from Jameson's was talking about.
Yeah.
works in my world as well.
Yeah.
So we have to get the wood to that melting point. So lignin, which is like a polymer in wood, holds it all together.
Yeah.
Melts, and then it has a new memory of being this shape.
So do you use any binders for that shape?
No, just
so there's no binders
heat
at all.
and
It's just
pressure.
it's just the
Yeah.
auger, and then it extrudes like pasta at the end of a.
Right.
Does it just sort of come out like that?
So at that point, it's still just a wooden briquette.
Yeah.
And then we very carefully char it. So we
Yeah.
take it then to like 435 degrees, hold it there until it stops reacting with itself.
But these will burn for, so they're different. Why would I use that and not regular lump wood when I'm cooking? What's the difference between the two things?
Yeah, so they are wildly different to use. So our lumpwood charcoal will light in about 6 minutes. You're ready to cook in 6 minutes. Wants to burn as hot as the sun, and you know, beautiful, beautiful,
So
beautiful. But if you want to
Yeah.
cook for a real long time, and really,
Yeah.
our restaurant customers are the people that use the most of these. But you'll get like 4.5 hours burning in an open grill with these little fellas.
Great.
So for a
so
restaurant,
good for slow and low as well.
yeah,
good for
slow
sustained
and low.
grilling. Okay,
like,
good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really sort of flexible friend if you're trying to keep your fire going for a really long time.
Yeah.
But all charcoal, you know, if it's well made, all charcoal has 8.3 kilowatt hours per kilogram. You can't change that. It's just science. So the amount of energy you have per kilogram is
Yeah.
always exactly the same. The difference is how it releases it.
Wonderful.
And we always make single species charcoals. So like ash charcoal with the same airflow as oak charcoal will burn
Yeah.
at twice the temperature.
Okay.
With the same airflow, this will burn at about a quarter of the temperature. But the whole energy output, if you like, will always be exactly the same per kilogram. It's just managing how it's released.
All right, so James, we can get all of these charcoals and more at House of Charcoal, right? So
Yeah,
this is like, I
absolutely.
mean, are there more brands than Whittle and Flame? Have you got, I mean, is it a House of Charcoal?
Yeah, no,
is your
so
house made
the
of charcoal?
Yeah, the reason
house
why
isn't made of charcoal.
My house is nearly made of charcoal.
It's made
my
of
wife
charcoal. He
thinks
lives
my
in a
house is
charcoal
made of
house.
charcoal. I've got more.
Yeah.
I've got more charcoal in my cellar than we have in our warehouse. Right. So for me, there were various challenges with selling charcoal in the UK. So
Yeah.
I've been hanging out with Matt for a year, and every time I see him, I learn something new. So today, just standing here, it's like, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it's every single, Jan, you'll probably say the same. Every single time you meet, like, he's just a font of knowledge, and you just think, you know, all you want to do is support people like Matt, but also there are lots of Matts up and down the country, lots of incredibly passionate charcoal makers who are using British trees to make the best quality charcoal. That, there is a whole backstory in terms of what's going on internationally, what's going on in terms of, you know, the whole slavery issues, environmental issues, humanitarian. I mean, there's so many humanitarian issues that. That's why I've done what I've done, because there are children around the world who are dying making charcoal.
Yeah.
There is forced labour for women who are forced to make charcoal. There's all of these terrible things going on with the
Just
environment.
people just don't realise, do they? I mean, I
Yeah,
think like when you
absolutely.
pick up that bag of charcoal from your average petrol station, you know, you don't realise what you're actually buying. And in fact, so we run a little barbecue school in Wales, and I said to this guy, thank you very much, thank you very much. There's Mum,
Where are
there's
you
Dad,
from,
they
sir?
follow me everywhere, thank you.
So hold on, you just say Wales and you get a reaction like that.
Hey, come on. I know, that
North
Six
North
Nations
Devon?
comment,
Yeah.
I mean, I was fuming at that Six Nations comment. Were you? Anyway, so I said to this guy, I said, what charcoal do you use? He goes, oh, I just buy it from Waitrose. And he thought the supermarket was synonymous with quality. And I was just like, dude, they might do a great focaccia, but they know flip all about charcoal.
I did supply Waitrose for an entire year, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
But anyway,
it went really badly.
But I think it's really about us understanding why imported charcoals can potentially be bad, and I think it's really about supporting artisan British producers as well.
Exactly that.
And James,
Exactly
that's
that, yeah.
and you saw a gap in the market because like we're all trying to buy it from everywhere.
Yeah.
Everybody's running these websites which cost everybody money, and so economically it made sense to bring it all under House of Charcoal.
For us, it's an education.
Oh,
but
Matt,
it's
just a time check, chef. You got 4 minutes. Yeah, sorry about that. I should have done it. I should have said something
how's
at
that
10,
working
but
out for you,
I was
Matt?
talking about charcoal.
So for us, it's an education. It's not about basically bad-mouthing and talking in a really negative way about what's going on
I'll do that.
internationally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are
Good girl.
people out there who can do that. You can write articles, and we can talk about that till the cows come home. What we focus on is just the brilliant quality of the charcoal
Yeah.
and what the charcoal does for your cooking.
Yeah,
So quite
I
simply, side by side, if you have even a leading imported charcoal, which they claim is good and ethical and da-da-da-da-da, put that next to any of the charcoals that House of Charcoal sell,
Yeah.
and I guarantee House of Charcoal, you'll be able to control it better. It'll have a really clean like flavour profile. So flavour profile is really important. And people think my charcoal, it basically delivers a really strong flavour, and I love it because it's a strong flavour. Really good charcoal delivers very little flavour whatsoever.
Yeah,
that's the reality.
Right. I
So
mean, there's
Matt
no
can
smell
talk
and no
about this.
flavour, and then there's also, so when you light this charcoal, there's no aroma at all, you know. Like, you could buy poorer quality charcoal, and immediately, like, the neighbours are like,
get
oh,
the big
she's having a
smoke,
barbecue.
yeah,
You buy this, it's kind of stealth mode.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because there's no additives, there's nothing but lump wood, and it looks like wood.
And if you want flavour, you use chunks.
Perfect.
You can take
There you
flavour.
go.
You can put flavour in. You can't take flavour out.
Yeah.
So that's the whole reality. And the thing with the species, so we have single species, which Matt can again talk about forever. But the difference in the species is the burn properties.
Whatever.
So how long you want it to burn for, how hot
Yeah.
you want it to burn for. There are various different things. But ultimately, the flavour is neutral, and that's across. So House of Charcoal. I went up and down the country for 4 or 5 months. Met lots of Matts, but not.
There's
somebody-
only one Matt
I know
Williams.
there is.
He's a
And he
mold
is an
breaker,
amazing
this
guy.
guy.
And if you
Yeah,
give
yeah.
everybody, buy him a beer today because he gets even more
He likes
animated.
beer. He enjoys beer.
Yeah,
That's a
and
really
then
good
The
idea.
stories really flow, and
Yeah.
that's a really good thing. But there are lots of Mats up and down, loads of Mats up
Yeah.
and down the country. So I've had an amazing time
Yeah.
going to really great little pubs, drinking lots of beer with very, very passionate charcoal makers who are grown in Britain certified. So it's British wood, made in Britain, and also employing people in local communities, rural
Yeah.
communities, which is really important. And from my corporate background, I was like, the issue that we have is around fulfillment. It's about
Yeah.
the speed of the immediacy of delivering charcoal. So Matt, in the old days, was 3 to 5 working days.
I slung in an order the other week, actually.
And
Yeah,
how quickly
I
did
had
it come?
I had it by the weekend. I had it in what, a day and a half.
Yeah, well, we do next day
superb,
delivery, we
yeah.
do Saturday delivery.
Brilliant.
So what I've done, I've overlaid my corporate background and got all these amazing charcoal makers together who supply us with charcoal, which sits in our warehouse, and basically we deliver it next day. And the thing that people always ask, and we've had it many, many times, is about the price difference.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to talk about the. I'll let Matt talk about
We
that
won't.
because
We're actually pretty much out of time.
Okay,
But
all right.
listen, guys, Matt and James are around this festival. You could do worse than not making them your festival buddies this weekend. You guys will tell
I like the
anybody
buying
anything about
pints
chocolate.
idea.
Buy him
I
a
think
pint.
that's a
Buy him
great
a
one.
pint. You tell you a story. You don't even have to sit on his knee. Like, which I didn't discover for 3 years.
You can sit on my knee,
just
though,
like I
it's
could have
fine.
sat on the bench. Thanks, Matt. But listen, I mean, sorry to wrap it up, guys. I mean, I could talk to you all day about
Can I
this.
just very quickly
Oh,
say
yeah,
something
yeah,
about...
I knew this was
I'll be
coming.
so-
I
I'll be so
knew it.
quick.
He's giving me the eye. He's
But
giving me the
the
eye.
whole thing with House of Charcoal, for me as a charcoal maker, I've been doing this for like 15, 16 years. I invent the machinery to make the charcoal. I have developed the process to do it. I run restaurant sales. I run an online sales. I'm trying to run about 7 businesses. So when James came along, and it was just the most incredible thing for the British charcoal industry as a
Yeah.
whole, that actually having somewhere where you don't have to be a marketing genius,
Yeah.
you don't have to go through all that. You've
That's
got
wonderful.
a reliable place to sell your charcoal, and James does what he's good at, and it releases us to do the things that we're really good at. So thank you, James.
I mean, what a
Mate,
what a
thank you.
wonderful way of working together. But ladies and gentlemen, can you please put your hands together for James Doyan, Matt Williams, Matt Black, who's going to feed you in a minute. Woo!
Thank you very much.
How's dinner
Thank you,
going,
guys.
Matt?
It's
Right,
nearly ready.
I think next up, I'm just going to check. All right, yeah, next up we